Grantley Adams Memorial to reopen for face-to-face classes for the new term. St. Lucie residents urged to nominate some of their own for the Pride of Barbados Awards. Barbados making strides in reducing its recidivism rate. And in sports, Warriors take over second spot in the BIM 10 tournament.
Broadcasting from our studios in the Pine St. Michael, this is CBC NewsNight, starting now.
Good evening, I'm Pearson Bowen. After being closed last term as a result of environmental issues, face-to-face classes will resume at Grantley Adams Memorial when the second term of the 2024-2025 school year begins next week. The announcement came from Chief Education Officer Dr. Ramona Archer Bradshaw. She tells CBC News the St. Joseph-based school as well as several primary schools have received remedial work and are ready for students and staff.
At St. Paul's Primary, the repair work to the roof was completed, and the hall underwent a treatment process known as misting, which combats mold. At St. Lucie Primary, tiling of their hall was also completed. The ministry is also pleased to report that Gordon Walters underwent an electrical upgrade, and minor repairs were conducted at St. Stephen's Primary, inclusive of work to improve the plumbing in the bathrooms. Grantley Adams Memorial Secondary School will be welcoming staff and students back from the 6th of January 2025 since the extensive treatment for fungal spores has been completed, the cleaning of all painted surfaces, which were initially of concern, has been done, and deep cleaning of all buildings has occurred.
Dr. Archer Bradshaw says while the information given does not cover all the remedial work done at plants, the schools she mentioned represent some of the most urgent work that had to be completed in time for the new term. The Chief Education Officer explains that work is still being undertaken at St. Luke's Brighton following teachers expressing concerns about environmental challenges. She says even though the ministry took action, the problem persisted.
Air quality tests and odor assessments were conducted, and students and staff were relocated pending the results of the tests out of an abundance of caution. In view of the recommendations made by the environmental specialists, the decision has been taken to continue school at the three alternative locations, namely Ellerton Community Center, Drax Hall Pavilion, and St. Luke's Anglican Church Hall at the Mount, while the ministry works to improve the conditions at the school. Staff members and parents have already been informed.
Dr. Archer Bradshaw says otherwise, all systems are go for the start of the Hillary term as the Ministry of Education continues to search for the most effective ways to work with its school leaders, health and safety committees and boards to stay on top of school maintenance in an attempt to minimize the disruption that intense repairs can sometimes cause. Well, as the Regathering initiative gathers momentum, there's an appeal for residents of St. Lucie to nominate those from the area who they think are worthy of the Pride of Barbados Award for the parish. Director of the Regathering Secretariat, Senator John King, says these awards are part of Regathering 2025.
These awards are where you in Barbados or in the diaspora can nominate a person who you believe has made a great contribution to Barbados. It could be to the church, it could be for education, it could be for whatever that contribution is. But the nominations for St. Lucie end on Monday, I believe it is, and we really need people to get in those nominations as soon as possible.
Well, the deadline has been extended since Senator King spoke to CBC News, and Barbadians here and in the diaspora now have until the 12th of January to submit nominations to the National Honours and Decorations Advisory Council for the Pride of Barbados Awards 2025 for St. Lucie. However, the deadline for nominations for St. Peter remains Friday, the 31st of January. And for those who might be finding it difficult, Senator King provides a guide.
If I were to talk about categories of people who would be worthy, I would look at it simply this. People who have touched other people's lives in a very unselfish way. They could be policemen, they could be a fireman, it could be an old school teacher. I mean, it could be a church person. It could be just an old lady down the road who cook food all the time and feed a lot of young fellas and a lot of people, or a dressmaker who did things without being paid, who gave service to the community without asking anything in return. Those are the people that we want to honor.
The Pride of Barbados may be conferred by the President in accordance with the Award of Pride of Barbados Act 2019. It is awarded to a person who is a citizen of Barbados or is entitled to be registered as a citizen of Barbados or is a permanent resident of Barbados and through sacrifice, diligence and dedication to service has made an outstanding contribution to community life in the parish of Barbados or to the improvement of economic and social conditions in a parish in Barbados. Well, parish independence committees are playing a big role in the regathering as parishes gear up to host their leg. Coordinator of the Regathering 2025 Secretariat, Wayne Willock, says already each committee has committed to being the best parish on show. Mr. Willock was a guest on Morning Barbados.
And it speaks to the quality of what will be produced in each parish. And talking about what will be produced, each parish really has some key areas that will be put forward, but with their own unique spin on it. For example, the church service at St. Lucie is going to take place, which is this Sunday, and it's usually the first Sunday of the month. So in each parish, you'll have a church service. In each parish, you'll have some sporting events, whether it be cricket, football, hockey, surfing, whatever it is. I've never seen an arm wrestling competition, so I throw that out there and see if a parish wants to grab that and do something different, you know what I mean? We're going to have, of course, the national marquee event.
Meanwhile, the Barbados Hotel and Tourism Association will be helping to promote Regathering 2025. Chief Executive Officer Ryan Ford tells CBC News the association is working with the Barbados Tourism Marketing Inc. and other stakeholders on the initiative, which is encouraging Barbadians in the diaspora to come home.
To enjoy and to partner on a lot of what is going on in Barbados from an investment side, from development, from partnerships, as well as just enjoying our beautiful island. It is ours, so we should enjoy it to the max. We are working alongside BTMI with regards to what they will be marketing about We Gatherin every month, as well as the other stakeholders that will be hosting events and community-driven events. And once we receive further information, we will continue to push it out to our members. Obviously, we just kicked off with St. Lucie, and we will be looking at how we can promote that to persons staying at our properties, as well as our local attractions and restaurants putting on any specials throughout every month.
In other news now, Barbadians are being encouraged to share their views on the Constitutional Reform Report during a public meeting on Sunday. It's being held at the Frank Collymore Hall at the Central Bank of Barbados from 5 p.m. Now, the report was compiled after extensive consultations with various stakeholders and the public in general, and former member of the Constitutional Reform Commission, Senator Canon Dr. John Rogers, joins us now to talk about the importance of the work and that upcoming meeting. Dr. Rogers, good evening to you.
Good evening, sir.
Now, the executive report speaks to looking at to reform the Constitution, not simply to review it.
Yes.
What's the difference?
Okay, well, the difference here is that this particular commission had a mandate that was slightly different from the others, in that our mandate was not just to review or revise the Constitution, but to reform and to actually write a new Constitution for the Republic of Barbados. And so in that context, our mandate was a little broader than others. And so it was not just a simple looking at what was there and tinkering with it, but going in depth into what the Constitution actually said and what represents Barbados in the 21st century and how we can put that into our new Constitution.
So that work is now complete. The report was presented to Her Excellency the President.
Yes.
On Sunday, when we come to the Frank Collymore Hall, what is the engagement level that you'd expect?
Okay, so Sunday came out of a request from the Cabinet of Barbados, of the former chair of the Constitutional Reform Commission, Most Honorable retired Justice Christopher Blackman to interface with the public, to present the report to the public. And so the former Constitution Reform Commission kindly consented to have this meeting. What will come out, what we hope to come out of it, it gives Barbadians an opportunity to interface with the report. They've had the opportunity since, I believe, November to access the report online, and therefore will give them an opportunity to air their views on some of the recommendations and have the commission that actually prepared the report to give their rationale for some of the decisions made. It does not mean a new report can be created because our mandate expired on September 30th, but what it certainly does is that it gives persons the opportunity to air their views on particular aspects of the report and the draft bill, and it would be wise for parliamentarians to pay attention to what is being said.
There are many segments of community, from youth to the elderly, and different factors in between. I suppose you're asking everyone and anyone of any age to be a part of that consultation.
Yes, we certainly are expecting a broad cross-section of Barbadians to join us in person, and also there'll be a virtual link that they can also share, and to give their views on what they've garnered from the report and what they perceive to be challenges for them, or even to commend us for things that we've had.
Is there any aspect within the report that you think are interesting that you would like to hear more Barbadians comment on?
Well, if the public meetings that we had during the process were any indicators, people are very, very concerned about fundamental rights and so on. And the Reform Commission has taken great liberty in extending and expanding the fundamental rights of individuals, and also increasing or adding ways in which they can be applied, and also in implementing what we refer to as progressive realization, which is that there are some things that every citizen should have access to, and therefore the state should always seek to make provisions given the resources available. And so it should always be on the table, on the books of the state, to make sure that we seek to, for example, ensure that every Barbadian has adequate housing or access to safe water and all those things, given the resources of the state.
All right, it all happens on Sunday at the Frank Cullimore Hall from 5 in the afternoon, and we want to encourage as many of you as possible, because the Frank Cullimore Hall can seat quite a few, to come, and for those of you who cannot make it, to follow it online as well. CBC TV, of course, will be sharing it with you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much as well. Former member of the Commission looking at the reform of the Constitution, Canon Senator Dr. John Rogers. Well, Barbados has made some strides in bringing down its recidivism rate. So says Minister of State in the Office of the Attorney General with responsibility for crime prevention, Corey Lane. There has been concern about the island's high re-offending rate over time, and according to the minister, the information is contained in a recent study. Now, while appearing on Morning Barbados, the minister says there are a number of reasons for the fall.
When the Caribbean was at 63%, we were at 68%. Happily, I can report we had the Criminal Justice Research and Planning Unit just finish a study in November last year. We now dropped to 53%. And I think there are a number of reasons for that. But when we were at 68%, just understand what that meant is that every 10 inmates that leave prison, 6.8 of them, 7, were going back. That is not good enough. Therefore, we have a reintegration program where we work with inmates 6 months before they come out, start to get their mind in the right place, try to make sure they have the skills, give them a plan, start helping them to understand the process of getting their records expunged, because again, in kind of employment or anything, you need to have that certificate of character. So we start to really work with them.
According to Mr. Lane, despite the research and crime fighting recommendations and the many programs to assist over the years, Barbados has fallen short with respect to implementation. He says there has been a lot of talking and little monitoring over the last 30 years. The Peace Program has been introduced to assist in this regard.
what I wanted to do was to bring an entity with the sole responsibility for implementing the fantastic initiatives, programs, recommendations, and that is what the National Peace Program is. A lot of people mix up the program with the peace agreement, the peace initiative, and so on. The National Peace Program has about 6 pillars, and it has a number of activities under each pillar. The peace initiative, the peace treaty, the peace agreement is really a very small part of one of the pillars. And so I wanted to make sure we have that part clear. But that is what the National Peace Program is. It is that entity to bring life, to bring implementation to the recommendation.
A police appeal for a wanted man to turn himself in has been fruitful. 36-year-old Jamal Justin Warren is in police custody now. Warren, of last known address Olive Gap, Tudor Bridge, St. Michael, presented himself to the Black Rock Police Station accompanied by an attorney at law and is assisting police now with their investigations. Tonight, there's a 2-vehicle crash at Bordered Hall, St. George today that resulted in the 52-year-old man sustaining injuries to his back and hip and an 18-year-old female receiving injuries to her face. Emergency officials responded and the pair was treated on the scene by personnel of the Barbados Ambulance Service before being taken to the Queen Elizabeth Hospital. We'll take a break here, but coming up, an end-of-life care facility to be constructed in Barbados. Once all goes according to plan, construction of an end-of-life care facility will begin in the 4th quarter of this year. The Barbados Association for Cancer Advocacy has identified the building of a hospice as a major goal of the charity. Public Relations Officer Jessica Odell-Baril says the idea has been embraced by stakeholders and individuals. She says they are now working with the association to make the hospice a reality at the Coverley Plantation grounds in Christchurch under a long-term lease arrangement with government. She was speaking during a press conference where BACA handed over a donation of $2,500 Barbados dollars to the Barbados Association of Palliative Care to assist with the community home care initiative for people who are terminally ill.
There's no name or anything for the hospice yet. We want to get it above the ground. And to do so, it calls for a lot of money. Initially, when we first started, building costs, as they continue to rise today, makes it a really hard target. We're probably looking in the region of $5 million Barbados dollars for the total 14-bed hospice, which, with the assistance of architect Mark Herons, we have decided to take it into 3 construction phases, starting with 6 beds. So you don't have to wait till you get all of the money, but you have enough to get 6 beds up to get the people out of their homes and into a comfortable environment.
Ms. Odell-Baril is calling on corporate Barbados and Barbadians in the diaspora to donate to the construction of the facility.
We have in cash about $150,000, about $150,000. All fundraising ceased during COVID, all. And there is tremendous goodwill both from corporate Barbados. So visualize this also. The ways that people can donate to the construction of a hospice. Company A may want to give $250,000 and that room named after them or their loved one. Things like that. There are things like putting a charity such as Barbados Association for Cancer Advocacy in your will.
Meanwhile, President of the Barbados Association of Palliative Care, Deanne Sobers, says the association provides financial and other assistance to at least 39 people between the ages of 59 and 98. She explains those in need of end-of-life care are accommodated at a nursing home which provides palliative care.
We monitor them to make sure that the care is continuing, the doctor is there, and all of that. But the problem is that the hospice provides everything under one roof, so that we wouldn't be running from St. Andrew to St. Joseph to St. Philip, the nursing homes in St. James, to make sure that the care is there when it should be on site. And so we're asking you, and I know those family members to whom we have taken out of their homes to go into nursing homes are requesting that you help us to get this hospice off the ground.
Well, Christmas and New Year's was not so happy for the Carter clan of Rollins Road, Christchurch, because of a literal foul smell. Wendy Burt tells us it emanated from some dead chickens piled up in a neighbor's yard.
For the Carter family, the stench from next door has been ongoing for months now. The source? Chickens kept by a neighbor and her son. However, over the just-ended holidays, it became unbearable because some chickens died and the carcasses were left outside. Sandrine Carter says it was just too much to bear.
For the past couple months, the neighbor who keeps chickens, we've been having a stink smell coming from the area of the chickens. They have not been cleaning the pen, and I've since learned that dead chickens are being thrown just on their property, adjacent to my backyard.
She says the foul odor was throughout her home and also adversely affecting her family businesses, causing clients to threaten not to return.
My kitchen, living room, and bedroom, main bedroom, backs onto their property. So all the stench I've been getting, it's so bad that you feel that you're actually breathing into the scent of that. In addition to that, I have a niece who operates a nail salon, and her clients have been complaining of the stench as well. In addition to that, we also operate an Airbnb, and the client, the tenants, the persons who come to stay with us are having challenges as well with this thing.
However, a bit of relief came Wednesday, and the pile of dead birds was covered.
Since we complained yesterday, they came out and tried to make efforts to cover these things.
CBC News visited the neighbor in question who lives on another street, Harris Gap. Clavel Weeks, who spoke to us off camera, says she's dealing with it the best she can, and her son will slaughter the remaining birds this week. She apologized for the inconvenience, adding that no one should have to put up with it. Wendy Burke, CBC News.
And the man joining us tonight with Sports Night is Mark Seal. Mark, good evening.
Very good evening to you. Cricket first. The Warriors have moved into second place in the BIM 10 tournament thanks to today's victory over Voyagers at Windward. Voyagers batted first and posted a below-par 74 for 6 from 9 overs. Akeem Springer made an unbeaten 40 with 3 fours and 3 sixes, while Preston McSween took 2 for 5 and Rashad Ford 2 for 16. Warriors replied with 75 for 7 from 8.4 overs to win by 3 wickets. Raymond Kelman top scored with 20, while player of the match Amari Goodridge took 3 for 18. We have the highlights.
Let's see what he'll do now. This one is high, and the catch is taken. This is into the air again, and it's taken. Leverott goes without scoring, forcing Springer to go wide of it. But this time, it's a massive shot over the mid-wicket area. He came a bit too close. He's gone again. High, hard, and handsome. And the plan has worked. Into the air. This should be an easy catch. And it is. That's gone. The Voyagers, 74 for 6. Oh, yes, he's got his man. And it's taken. Dwayne Smith is back into the attack. And strikes. Oh, yes. Absolutely fantastic from Goodridge. That's gone. The catch is taken. And it's taken. That's out of the park. Pulled him. It's victory for the Warriors in the end. They win by 3 wickets.
And Warriors are now tied with Settlers on 16 points, but Settlers have a superior net run rate. Meanwhile, in the other game of today's doubleheader, Titans defeated Guardians by 5 runs. Scores: Titans 103 for 6, Guardians 98 for 4. In more cricket news, as Australia and India try to determine who will join South Africa in the World Test Championship final, the Aussies took day 1 honours from the 5th Test at the SCG. Electing to bat first, India were dismissed for 185, with Scott Boland taking 4 for 31. The hosts in their first innings are 9 for 1. Day 2 was scheduled to resume a few minutes ago at 7:30 p.m. Barbados time. It'll be live on MCTV Sportsmatch Channel 310. The annual Harris Paints Electing a Champion Junior Road Tennis Tournament serves off tomorrow. President of the Barbados Road Tennis Association, Frederick Blunt, says the response to this year's edition has been outstanding, with 103 players entered.
There are 7 categories. So we have the primary school boys and girls. We have the 11 to 13 girls, the 15 to 17 girls. We have 11 to 14 boys, 15 to 17 boys as well, and the senior 18 to 21. We start at the IV course, then in the back IV, and continue there on the 11th. Then on the 12th, we go to the Pinelands course. And then on the 18th, we go to Mariners House in here in St. Peter. On the 19th, which is semi-finals, we are at Belfield in St. Michael, and the grand finals are on the 21st. Our bar there at the sponsors, Harris Paints, will be the defending champion in the boys, 15 to 17, is Zari Clark. In the girls, 15 to 17, it is Keza Blunt. The senior boys is Shakem Nurse, but unfortunately, he's not competing this year. And in the junior boys, the champion is Kanoja Belgrave, that is in the 11 to 14 category.
Blunt also says the association will soon release a calendar of events.
We are going to have 2 more junior tournaments. We're also looking to have a secondary schools tournament where we will have all 21 secondary schools competing in a team event, where we have like the South. The winners for the South, we have the St. Michael Bridgetown area, and then the North, and then the winners of each zone will compete for that champion school. We're also looking to have a couple A-class tournaments, because we know we only have the BRTO, and that's not enough to develop those players at that A-class level. So our aim is to have 2 more A-class tournaments. Also, there will be a tournament later down the year that we gear just for the females. And we have not forgot the senior players. We are actually in contact with a sponsor that used to sponsor the tournaments in Barbados before, where we're going to have like a masters competition. So that will be mainly for the persons that are over 50. So we will have that for them along with the senior games that will come around sometime in June.
That's the first set in sports. We'll have more later on.
Thank you, Mark. We'll take a break here. We're coming back with tonight's business report. In business now, digital services coupled with enhanced in-person access are among the reasons given for the change in operating hours of the Barbados Public Workers Cooperative Credit Union Limited. The revelation came from Chief Executive Officer Glenn Harrison. The new hours of business will take effect from Monday.
Being a member-based organization means that we are constantly looking at the needs and demands of the members, and we measure our success not solely by the profit level at the end of the year, but to a large extent by our ability to enhance and better the lives of those same members and the communities that we serve. So the change in hours on our part represent a return to a pre-COVID schedule as the country continues to move towards a post-pandemic normalization. It's been that way for a while, and we've been monitoring it. And the change in hours complements the digital services with enhanced in-person access, because we recognize that our members value both the electronic as well as the face-to-face banking options. And our focus is on ensuring that they have the flexibility to conduct business how and when they prefer.
Mr. Harrison told the business report cybersecurity is also an important area of concern for the union.
We use a range of technologies to protect the members' information, including advanced threat detection, encryption, secure authentication. So which are really and truly baseline measurements, but we've really and truly upped that by using some premier providers. We also regularly update our systems and software to ensure that we have the latest security patches and protections in place. The IT team is constantly monitoring so that we can detect and respond to potential security threats. So our members can be assured that our cybersecurity levels are definitely up to levels required to make sure that they're protected.
Time now for tonight's trading report.
In Jamaica, Trans-Jamaican Highway Limited, with 13,101,596 units, was the volume leader, followed by QWI Investments Limited and Victon Energy Limited. In Trinidad and Tobago, Massey Holdings Limited was the volume leader, with 192,625 shares changing hands for a value of Trinidad and Tobago $768,573.75, followed by NCB Financial Group Limited. And here in Barbados, no securities traded today on the regular market.
And that's tonight's business report. We'll take a look at the weekend's weather forecast with Carrie-Ann O'Neill after this break. Time for us now to turn our attention to the weather. That brings Carrie-Ann O'Neill will help us. Carrie-Ann, good evening.
Good evening to you, Pearson, and good evening, everyone. Well, instability is impacting the island. Convergence today maintained cloudy skies along with some showers. The winds across the region, they are light to moderate, peaking at 21 knots here in Barbados, and Convergence maintained isolated thunderstorms over there in the Guianas. The maximum temperature today was 28 degrees Celsius, the minimum 25 degrees. At present, the temperature stands at 26 degrees Celsius. The relative humidity, 82%. The winds, they're coming in from the east. We take a look now at some atmospheric conditions across the region, where those warm temperatures are ranging from 24 to 27 degrees Celsius. The humidity shows moisture is building across the region, and those winds, they are light to moderate across the islands. We take a look now at our satellite feed, where we have Convergence maintaining cloudy skies along with some showers here in Barbados. We had up to 8 millimeters of rainfall. Meanwhile, the winds, they are light to moderate across the region, peaking at 21 knots for us here in Barbados. The seas, moderate and open water with swells peaking at 2.5 meters. We are urging small craft operators as well as sea bathers to exercise caution. Later on tonight, it will be cloudy here in Barbados along with some showers. And further south, Convergence maintained cloudy skies, showers and isolated thunderstorms across the Guianas. Over now in the Western Caribbean, a cold front maintained wet conditions across the Bahamas. Elsewhere had fair to partly cloudy skies. We move now to the forecast, where the sun is expected to rise at 6:24 and will set at 5:45. The first high tide is expected at 13 minutes after 7 in the morning, and the first low at 23 minutes to 1 in the early morning. Now those seas, moderate and open water with swells peaking at 2.5 meters. We are urging small craft operators as well as sea bathers to exercise caution. Those winds are coming in from the east and they're peaking at 35 kilometers per hour. For us here in Barbados tonight, we can expect cloudy skies along with clear periods and some showers as well. And over the next 3 days, a mix of sunshine, clouds, and light showers can be expected.
As promised, it's time for part 2 of Sports. Mark.
Indeed, cricket activities in the Windward and Leeward Islands need help. That's the assertion from President of the Barbados Cricket Association, Conde Riley, who is also a director at Cricket West Indies. In an exclusive interview with CBC Sports, Riley said that CWI must address the lack of cricket development in those territories.
There's something that we as a Cricket West Indies board has to do. Recognize that the Windward Islands are 4 islands, Leeward Islands are 8 islands. We need to help them a lot more. Because in Barbados, it's easy for me. Our structure is the Gatherin Center of Excellence. There were coaches and so on. We go through the 22 secondary schools and we pick the best 20 at the junior level and so on. But a lot more attention has to be made with the Leeward Islands, the 8 Islands, and the Windward 4 Islands. That's a lot more work to do. A lot more work to do for them. And we must, I think, put more money into them. Their prime ministers and so on, the 8 in the Leewards, or senior ministers, what we call them, and the Windward Islands, the 4 Islands. Once we can get a structure in place in the Leewards and the Windwards, we must be stronger as a region, as West Indies.
Riley also says, from a Barbados standpoint, 2024 was an exceptional year for cricket.
We won all 3 regional junior competitions. The under-15s did the double. The under-17s, they won the longer version, and had it not been for some inclement weather where we lost 3 games, we were not able to play. We won that. We didn't do the double, we won that, and the under-19s did the double as well. And then when you look at all the captains of cricket West Indies, they all came out of Barbados. Davy Matthews, Greg Brathwaite, taking over from Jason, J.O., and Matthew Ford. I think we had a wonderful year. We're going to get ready to prepare for 2025 very shortly.
Former Barbados track star and Olympian Richard Louis has passed away at the age of 60. Louis was a member of the Barbados 1600-meter relay quartet, who were the first ever athletes running under the Barbados flag to qualify for an Olympic final. This was at the 1984 Olympiad in Los Angeles. Louis also competed at the 1988 Games in Seoul. Earlier in his career, he took the Austin Seeley Award for the most outstanding athlete at the 1980 Crifter Games in Bermuda, winning 2 gold medals in the 200 and 400 meters, while gaining a silver in the 100 meters in the under-17 category. He then won a silver medal at the CAC Junior Championships in 1982 here in Barbados. Louis was also a cricketer, representing the USA as a fast bowler. President of Olympians Barbados, Frida Nichols, extended condolences to the family, friends, and members of the athletic fraternity.
At the 1984 Olympic Games in Los Angeles, I was the athletics team manager. Richard Louis was a member of the 4x400 meters relay team that qualified for the final, the first time Barbados, as an independent nation, was making an Olympic final. Richard was joined by Clyde Edwards, David Peltier, and Elvis Ford for that 4x400 meters relay, and they placed 6th in a time of 3:01.60, which established a national record that is still standing today, some 40 years later. This is a remarkable achievement. During his competition years, Richard demonstrated a commitment to excellence, resilience, and an enjoyment of the event he loved, the 400 meters. His passing is a loss to the athletics community and the wider sports fraternity.
Louis passed away in Florida this morning. CBC offers condolences to his family and the track and field fraternity. That's sports. Person is back to you.
Thank you, Mark. We are right back after this break. And that's our time tonight. Thank you for spending it with us. I'm Pearson Bowen. For the crew, to all of you, good night. Have a great weekend.